enemy that you're facing. Blessing will depend on how you react to the enemy and to the cry of unbelief.
I can understand why you wanna stray away, get away from the word that pays your past mate. Catch up the niggas inside your heart.
Well, welcome to Debatable, where everything's on the table. This is a show where we ask the uncomfortable questions. We take a match to the gaslighting and dig into the stuff your favorite politicians really hope you're too distracted to notice. So, the question of the day. Are we living in some kind of glitchy, sick matrix run by pedos, puppets, and professional gaslighters? Because, if it quacks like a Mossad asset, flies around in a private jet with underage girls, and lands on an unsealed Epstein client list, I'm just saying it's probably not grandma's travel agent, if you know what I mean. Now, quick flashback. Remember when Don Jr. was out here posting like a based Instagram prophet during Biden's reign of incoherence? He was all, hey, what's there to hide? Why not just release the Epstein list? And we all nodded like, yeah, let's release it. Come on, go Don Jr. And then guess what? Big Daddy Don himself, the Mar-a-Lago kingmaker, has decided that the Epstein list is not important. Just forget it. Like, let it go, folks. Go back to sleep. Nothing to see here. It's kind of reminiscent of one Hillary Clinton. If, Michael, you could play that video number 1 real quick. Let me just see if this makes any sense.
With all due respect, the fact is we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make?
There you go. I mean, what difference does it make? They died. Who cares who did it, or if it was some sort of inside operation or whatever? I don't know. It's kind of weird. I had this flashback of Hillary when I was watching Trump kind of seemingly gaslight his base, saying, what does it really matter? Why are we talking about this Epstein, this sicko? Why do you care about him? Well, it's a little weird to me. I don't know about you. But wasn't the whole point of putting him back on the throne, Trump that is, was to drain some kind of swamp that we keep hearing about, some kind of deep state players that we keep hearing about? And just so you know, Jeffrey Epstein, just in case anyone forgot while they were binge watching TikTok and eating their popcorn, he was allegedly a Mossad-linked blackmail maestro running what's known as a honeypot operation. And that sounds kind of cute, right? Like Pooh Bear with a camera, except this kind of honeypot traps your favorite world leaders in bed, literally, with minors. Then, oopsie, it tapes it, stores it, and uses it, I guess to get them to vote for, what could they vote for? Maybe endless wars, maybe increased taxes, maybe your favorite charity money laundering operation. But hey, sure, let's just drop it. Epstein's old news. Trust the plan. It's 5D chess. Remember that. At least that's what they say. And, maybe for me at least, instead of these chess metaphors, what I'd like to see are actual results. Like, where are the arrests for the billions that, was it Doge himself? Elon Doge, kind of same character. Didn't Doge himself sniff out like all these billions of dollars that were funneled into corruption by Congress? Where's the accountability for that? Where's the justice for the J6 folks who were rotting in prison without any due process while the likes of Ray Epps were, doing brunch in Scottsdale? Where's the justice for the people whose doors were kicked in by a weaponized FBI, yours truly, because they, posted spicy memes? Maybe they were these horrible, dangerous mothers who dared speak out at school board meetings to try to get them to stop sexualizing children. Or maybe we just questioned the results of the 2020 election, so we got our door kicked in and put in jail and harassed relentlessly by a weaponized DOJ and FBI. Where's the accountability? What about the accountability for the fake pandemic, the vax lies, the illegal shutdowns, the trillions of dollars laundered right through Ukraine and back into the pockets of your favorite virtue signaling senator? But nah, forget all that. The Epstein thing, Just a distraction, they say, apparently made by Obama and Bill Clinton, or I don't know who made it up. Come on, guys, we got to move forward. We're winning. Just trust the plan and keep eating your popcorn. Are we sure we're winning? Because from where I'm sitting, it feels less like 5D chess and more like a rigged game of hungry, hungry hippos, where the hippos are just vacuuming up your rights, your tax money, and your faith in any system pretending to be just. Maybe, just maybe, the same people in red ties and blue ties are playing us like Billy Boy Clinton played that sad, overworked saxophone, which, by the way, that saxophone did not deserve the abuse that it took. I'm just saying. Maybe the good news is that, I'm not on the other end of that saxophone, but that's just a little side trail. So no, we won't move on. We won't forget. And we're not going to sit down for another 3.5 years while everyone pats themselves in the back for playing chess, while the rest of us are stuck living in a rigged Jumanji board from hell. Stick around, folks. I know I'm salty, but today's episode is going to be a little more saltier as we even bring in our guest that's probably even more salty than me. If you're still even watching after that whole monologue and you haven't been abducted by some 3-letter agency for asking questions, we have someone we're going to bring in today. He's a man who has stared right into the abyss, winked at it, and then sold it a suspiciously accurate t-shirt. He's the Indiana Jones of inconvenient truths, the Sherlock Holmes of shadow government sleuthing, and the only guy I know who can tie together Mossad, Madonna, and MK Ultra over a single cup of gas station coffee. Dean Ryan is here with us today, joining us now. Dean Ryan, welcome to the show. How are you, man?
Neil, that was the best introduction, and I'm still getting past the saxophone observation.
Oh, wait, I'm not done yet. I'm not done. When you feel like cheating or chasing, a conspiracy to, down the dark hole, this kind of conspiracy will make your phone battery die out of fear. Dean is your man to chase that conspiracy. He's funny, he's sharp, and I think he might even be single, ladies. And most importantly, I tell you what, Dean does his homework, like the kind of homework that makes you wonder if he's got a microchip embedded somewhere that the NSA itself can't even reach. Let's just say Dean knows a thing or two because he's seen a thing or two. I'm not done yet, Dean, almost. He's seen a thing or two, and probably, I'll bet you anything, he's got a black SUV tailing him right now as we speak. Anyway, Dean, welcome to the program.
Neil, it's so good to see you again. That's probably one of the greatest monologues I've heard in my life. That was just phenomenal.
I tried not to stutter. I think I stuttered once or twice, but it's all true. That's the great thing.
Yes. And the saxophone, and I'm detecting cynicism somewhere, but
slightly,
that was
just a little bit.
Yeah. Yes, that is definitely saltier than Mrs. Dash, to say the least.
Well, listen, can we just rip the Band-Aid right off this wound? I mean, you've covered Epstein, you've covered blackmail ops, you've covered Mossad, you've covered deep state puppeteering, all this stuff, and yet somehow the average American, I think, still thinks when they hear Jeffrey Epstein, oh, that was just like this guy that ran this exclusive massage parlor for these politicians that needed a break. So, like, what does the average American need to know? What are we missing here?
Well, yeah, I've covered Epstein since 2015. I wrote an article about him. It plays right into what Netanyahu was doing to the United States since 1995. He was blackmailing Bill Clinton and his phone sex combos, if you recall.
Netanyahu.
Yeah, Lewinsky was a honeypot. They got it all taped. Clinton was part of the Kennedy cover-up. He was the guy that drove one of the Warren Commission guys to the airport who disagreed with all the rest that Oswald did it, and that guy died after he was delivered to the airport. You have Clinton, but in regards to Epstein, what people are missing is Epstein's just a manager of a global syndicate of Epsteins, which is part of Project Monarch. So our Real Deal Media EU embedded insider, who's at the upper echelons of the European Union, he told me exactly what's on the Epstein list. And it will be released. It's going to be leaked. It cannot be. But I'll tell you what's on it now. And spoiler alert. Well, what's on the Epstein list are several major things that we know of. Trump is on it, and what you'll find out is for about 15 years, throughout the 1990s and early 2000s, Trump was provided women porn stars from Jeffrey Epstein. Now, nobody, I think, really cares too much about that, but it's who else is on it that's related to him. So Don Jr. and Jared Kushner. And Jared Kushner is connected to the military industrial complex systems that are making all the bombs they're dropping on Gaza, and that bombs that will be dropping on Iran. That's the war they want, and the rest of the whole thing. But Epstein wasn't just a procurer of women and sending them off everywhere. He was the the bag man, the money launderer for the MI5, the City of London, which is Rothschild banks, so Zionist controlled. So if you think about the financial crimes, and the people are just mentioned in it, it goes way beyond the sex implications. So I can't tell you if Don Jr. and Jared Kushner were, part of the sex realm of it, but definitely, even if the fact that somebody's just mentioned in these lists and they're completely innocent, their whole careers are done. Now, in addition to that, there's EU leaders. So you're going to see like Tony Blair, the past prime minister of the UK, other EU leaders, major players in Senate and Congress. So Chuck Schumer, allegedly, but here's the big one too: major Supreme Court justices. And this is why I say that's the case, because when Antonin Scalia died in 2016, the late great Jim Mars, who I spent great time with before he passed, told me everything that happened. So Scalia was killed by wet works, according to Skippy Podesta in the WikiLeaks. He was killed in 16. His throat was slit by a boy child prostitute that was sent to the West Texas Bohemian Lodge. It was a Bohemian Grove kind of lodge in West Texas. So they got the Supreme Court justices like Justice Roberts, who adopted Irish boys, 15 years ago? And that's when he passed the Obamacare, he was red-faced like Ronald McDonald everywhere. So you take that into account. And also the fact that the implication of Israel, their creepy country in the Middle East, as I call it. And you also take into account of major EU leaders and major players that are just like Epstein around the world. Did he? And he was an asset of the CIA and Mossad, which I can't tell the difference these days since they both share the same floor and offices over there at the Pentagon, as whistleblowers have said since 2002. So are we living in a matrix? Yes, we are. Up is down, down is up. And if they were able to fake Biden, who was a mass bandit, I've seen about 6 different Donald Trumps. Who's to say they can't fake this person here? And who's to say the real Donald Trump's not dead? Let's just get to the bottom of it.
Well, you bring up Trump, and I mean, you just said a mouthful, and I'm trying to process it. Actually, I'm sitting here taking notes, and I'm just
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Yeah, that's it. We could go on for hours about some of the points that you just brought up. I want to go back to what you first said, because I think this runs deeper than any of us could even imagine. You've obviously gone down this rabbit hole quite a ways for a long time, and you've been seeing this. I mean, I remember talking to you about Jean-Benet Ramsey. I mean, we're going back to the 90s. We're going back to, and you mentioned Monica Lewinsky, that I thought she was just some intern, but you're saying she was some sort of deep state plant honeypot situation.
Yeah. She was a super intern. Yeah. She provided all that. I mean, it goes very deep. You have Netanyahu, who was secretly recording the sex phone calls in the White House of Bill Clinton to blackmail him. That's on record, because Netanyahu comes in power in 95. He gets rid of Arafat, who wanted the 2-state deal. And by the way, we're not talking about Christian people, leaders in the EU. They're what has been described to me. They're called a nihilist. And then Netanyahu's not a Jew. He's an atheist. So these are satanic, and it all plays into the predictions of, well, his name escapes me at the moment because there's so much I've just said, but it plays into the predictions of mutual destruction of Israel and Iran, which is needed to bring about the end of all world religions and a one world order of sorts. And this is their play to do it. This
Yep.
is the big play to make that move. And then you look at Kash Patel. Well, Kash Patel is part of the Pilgrim Society. People should go look up what that is. Started in 1902, which is another creepy year of missing data everywhere, except for this start of the Pilgrim Society, which is ran out of the city of London, with Henry Kissinger involved, Maggie Thatcher, the who's who of the elites. So this is their puppets. So if you're going to get in the Oval Office, you got to go through the Zionist Council of Traditions.
Yep.
And, so I've said too much where I can't even remember things anymore.
So I'm going to bring this back to Netanyahu and to Israel, because this has been a hot topic, and the likes
Neil, I'm
of,
sorry,
go
Albert
ahead.
Pike. Albert Pike.
Oh, yes,
before
yes,
I forget,
yes.
Albert. This plays into Albert Pike's theory of nihilism to eradicate Christianity and Islam and subsequently Judaism. But the Likud party and the Jewish supremacists want mutual destruction between Muslims and Christians so they could be the reigning power. Because at the end of the day, the Jews are in proxy war with China. That's what it's all about, to be the leaders. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, so the interesting thing is that I find right now, at least, you can't really have this conversation on a large scale, like big platforms like Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, and all that. We covered this last week about, Operation, Pastor Gate and all this stuff, where pastors are getting all the same emails saying,
Oh, yeah.
call Candace and Tucker, anti-Semites and all this stuff. We can't
Greg
bring this
Locke.
up. Yeah, Greg Locke and all the likes, and he just went on Alex Jones' War Room. Such a strange interview. Alex Jones has been acting weird too, in my opinion. Of course, he always acts weird, but it's just kind of strange. And I know you know a thing or two about him too, and you can go there if you want to. But the point here, if you go back, and I've read older books by Benjamin Friedman, books by Jack Bernstein, who both of them were Jews, by the way, and they're talking about a plan that goes way back further than just, like you were mentioning, 1995 when Netanyahu got into power. But this goes way back to where it's almost like there was a plan to plant Israel where they're planted, in order for them to kind of be the hub that runs America and sort of runs the rest of the world. All the while, the evangelicals and the pastors and the big churches all think it's just the cool thing to do. In order to be a Christian, you have to support Israel. But these guys like Benjamin Friedman and Jack Bernstein, these are Jews, by the way, they make a case that Israel actually isn't biblical Israel, and this is some other entity altogether.
Neil, you took my breath away. Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely on it. No, because Israel was set up. You can even look at Bill Cooper, but look at Albert Pike.
Yes.
I encourage people to look at Albert Pike. He's one of the only statues in D.C. that's allowed there. But Albert Pike, Israel was set up to give us the next World War III, because World War I gave us the League of Nations. World War II gave us the United Nations. World War III is going to give us the one world government. So they were set up to be there. They are the Khazarian Zionists that took over Russia and killed the royal family in the early 1900s and gave us the Bolsheviks, who are the most ruthless people. They gave us the gulags. They were worse than the Nazis. They killed way more than that. They set up Hitler to be the fall guy to create Israel in 1948, started by Rothschild. The Rothschild banking family. And so you're absolutely correct. It is set up to be the a-hole of the Middle East to get us into World War III. And that's exactly what they're doing. Iran's the last domino to fall, but Iran can self-sustain. And you know why else they hate Iran? Not a lot of people know about this. Iran's military, highly capable of doing a lot of things. They're the only military on record officially in Antarctica right now as we speak, as of last year.
Wow. We talked about Iran recently, and we covered some of the Christian population over there. And I'm not sure why that matters, but I think in the American mind, it does matter. If you're thinking, no, we're just going to wipe out this terrorist nation. They're all just a bunch of terrorists and they're all just killers. Just go bomb them all. And you think there's millions and millions of people there that are practicing Christians. And even if they're not, I mean, it really shouldn't matter. There are women and children and families just like us trying to live their lives and getting their hospitals bombed and their communities destroyed. And then the excuses from the Netanyahus of the world is like, well, you know, we gave them warning, we told them to leave. And I equate that to, I mean, if somebody, you know, called me and said, hey, there's a bomb coming to Texas and you need to get out, it's like, well, where are we supposed to go? And who are we to
Like, oh,
believe?
thank you.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Okay. I'll get out right now and I'll move my whole family and we're gone. It just,
Yeah.
the things that are going on, you know, it seems like they've been scripted, but it also seems like the more that people wake up and understand what's happening, that we can actually make a difference and move the dial. And that's where I want to bring it back to Trump. And from your estimation, because I'm frustrated, people are frustrated at Trump right now. And I relate with you where you said lots of different Trumps. I wrote a whole thing about there being two Trumps. It was based on a dream that I had. And I don't know that I mean two physical Trumps. I don't know that I mean, you know, body doubles, that kind of thing. But there's two things. There's two different forces at play was the point of my post. And that's that there's kind of this good king and this evil king. And right now it's like we're seeing this strange evil king come out and people are excusing it as 5D chess. They're excusing it as part of the show. It's part of the plan. Just trust it. Kind of like back in 2020 and 2021 when we were supposed to trust the science. Now we're supposed to trust the plan and eat our popcorn. From your estimation, is Trump still, whatever Trump is he ahead of the game? Is he trying to play Netanyahu? Is he trying to play the world leaders? Or is he just another puppet on the scene that's being controlled by the unknown forces that we all wonder who and what they are?
Well, you know, that's a great question. I think people can trust the plan or whatever they want to do, but never forget the lessons of your grandparents who grew up in the Great Depression is hope for the best, prepare for the worst. And what's wrong with doing that? You know, just suggesting that, hey, it may not go the way we want with Trump or this or that. The cult-like cognitive dissonance comes in people, just like it did on the left or whatever. So people like Neil shouldn't be chastised, or myself. We should always hold politicians' feet to the fire, no matter if they're iconic or not. But in regards to Donald Trump, you know, it's the people behind him that, you know, I was told by Roger Stone 8 years ago that General Kelly was poisoning Donald Trump. And you can look at Trump's hands; they're like Mitch McConnell's. They're like turning blue. I think they're putting thallium in his drinks, and they incubate him if he's even the real Donald Trump. There's like 6 different ones. Always look at the teeth; they're always different. The heights. So it's who's controlling him, but also look at Trump as the cursor, because wherever he is, he could be taken hostage. That's where, you know, things we should be figuring out is happening. For instance, little Marco Rubio, what the hell is that guy doing there? I can tell you for a fact, this guy is harboring pedos in our U.S. embassies in Congo who are from the Biden administration that were using the LGBTQ kind of realm around the world to harvest children. And you have a guy, and you know why they can't catch him? Because they've been using fictitious names at the U.S. embassies and just harvesting kids in the Congo. And that guy's still on the Trump administration team or whatever that's being levied and hovered over by Marco Rubio and Pam Bondi, who's very questionable. That's right. Tom Fitton says, how come they're blocking the fact that U.S. aid was providing millions of financial assistance to Hamas? They won't let that come out because that's the truth. They want mutual destruction. The EU leaders see it. EU leaders know that Trump's being blackmailed, but it's also his kids, as I said to you, and Jared Kushner, who's a totally dirty turd as far as I'm concerned. Even the brothers hate him.
Well, just listening to you is like I'm trying to hold back the blood from shooting out my eyes. It's a lot, the tears, everything, and just trying not to let your head explode through this all. And as we think about this, I want to remind everybody as we queue up video number 2, Michael, of the narrative before Trump got back into office about the Epstein files and this whole Epstein list. Play the video.
How is it that my father can be convicted of 34 crimes, but no one on Epstein's list has even been brought to light. I'm trying to figure out how that's possible, right, folks? It's almost like they're trying to protect those pedophiles for some reason. I can't imagine why, right?
Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list.
Everybody in politics has a vice that's much worse than alcoholism, is the way that I put it. But we
release the list.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump.
In this case, in Epstein's case, it is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
I'm not ever going to let this story go because of what I heard from a source about Bill Clinton on a plane with Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not letting it go, ever. Ever.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. So we've got Donnie Jr., we've got Cash, we've got Dan Bongino, we've got Vice President Vance. And I remember Trump, before he got back in the second time, was even saying, yeah, I'll release the list. I think it should be released. We've got Pam Bondi. It was sitting on my desk, but now it really wasn't a list on her desk. It was just kind of the idea of Epstein that was on her desk for review. And all of these people, and then all of a sudden you've got Trump coming out saying, well, we still talking about this? What are we talking about this dirtbag for? It's so odd to me, and I think I speak for most of Trump's base. And I personally, I was never an all-out like MAGA guy. I wasn't wearing the hat, and I'm hoping for change and hoping for what's best. But I feel for the MAGA or MAGA, however you pronounce it, people that were all out, giving up their lives to make sure this guy got back into office. And one of the main reasons was not because we care about Jeffrey Epstein. Everybody wants him. If he's not dead, which there's actually evidence out there, his own brother said that he's not dead, which it wouldn't surprise me at all if the guy's sitting on some island somewhere right now. But all we really care about him is that he gets the news. It's not him. It's everything that he represents. And if he really was running a Mossad blackmail op, and if world leaders were compromised, doesn't that explain why we keep funding endless wars, sending billions to Ukraine, backing Israel, no matter what they do? And at what point does the average voter just kind of sit back and go, I don't think I'm actually voting these people into office. I think they're being handpicked, even with DJT, unless something crazy happens where he reverses course.
Well, that's absolutely correct. And let's also add Project Pegasus, which Israel gave the cartel, which you ever get those text messages out there of, hey, how you doing? And it's from a weird number and it says like Susie Q. And you're like, who the hell is this? As soon as you click on that, all your information goes into the receiver's data files given to us by Israel. It's called Project Pegasus. They gave it to the cartels. That's why the cartels are able to just linger around here. But as you saw there with the Trump and the yellow tie, a much younger looking Trump. And then you look into the Epstein when they put picked up a body there. And how about the witness who just died recently in her dead man keys that were switched on? She said they switched the bodies. He's still alive. And it's true. You could see when they picked up the mannequin, whoever the hell that guy was, it was a totally different ear. Totally different ear, just like George Floyd.
It's true. Yeah, the nose was kind of hooked and his regular nose wasn't. It
was
crazy.
totally different. And I'm still the guy. I don't know about you, Neil, but I think you're the same as me. I'm still on edge about where's the Wiener laptop? What happened to the first Epstein files? Trump has that apparently. Right.
What's her name from the Wiener laptop? Is now
Huma
married
Aberdeen.
to Huma Aberdeen is now married to the son of Soros, right?
Yeah.
And they have this little scheme going on where they're going to basically take over and rule the world. Maybe they already are. I have no idea. But you're right. And how many people in New York, how many officers who had access to that laptop ended up getting unalived? unaliving themselves.
35 out of 36 were killed. One is still alive. I can't say where he is, but they've killed his dog and he's in hiding still of what's on there. Yeah. You know, where there's no,
Totally
there's
insane.
nothing. I think this just goes to show everybody how powerless the presidential position truly is, how incubated, how blackmailed the executive branch is. There's, if you voted for Trump, don't kill yourself. I mean, this would have happened no matter what. It shows that people's intentions are good, and we just got to prepare for the worst. There's no animosity here. It's okay. But we have to prepare for the worst. And to see him attack Thomas Massey, too. I've met Thomas Massey in Texas. He's a great guy, upstanding. I mean, when you're attacking somebody who is literally standing up for the United States Constitution, that's when we've got some issues here. And it's 5 minutes past midnight, Neil. But like you said, the more knowledge, the more people are waking up. People know who Kathy O'Brien is and her testimony. People are awakened to the fact that we have a leech that is sucked off this country and that killed the only president who didn't do the Wailing Wall, and I'm talking about JFK. And people should go really look what the Wailing Wall represents. And let me give you a hint. It's a sexual act. It's pretty disgusting.
So the Wailing Wall isn't like, I don't know. I guess it's supposed to be paying homage to Judaism and
to the Talmud. The Talmud's a satanic Bible. Yeah. Think about it. Your hands are on the wall. And how does it go, Neil?
That's a good question. Yeah, right. Yeah. We better not repeat that.
I'll show myself the door.
This is, we're going to get booted off. It's just wild, Dean. I think the average Joe steals a candy bar and gets jail time. But the elites assault kids on camera, run intelligence blackmail networks, launder millions, billions of dollars. And the worst thing that happens to them is, I guess they get their island vacation canceled now. But I'm sure they have other islands out there. I think Epstein Island is the tip of the iceberg, what people need to know. And I've heard and read things that there's an island in every state, and not to mention the underground, quote unquote, islands that are happening as well. But this, I just feel like we've been duped. Maybe we've been hoodwinked a little bit, thinking that this whole Epstein narrative leading up to the election was about getting justice, where maybe it was just, again, about protecting the structure and keeping the same people in power. But what do you say to those who are, I mean, you're fully aware of the Q operation, and I'm fully aware of it. I followed it for a number of years, more interested than, I wasn't like an avid follower or believer. I'm just interested in what it's saying. But there is still that mentality out there. And I get it. It's the kind of the hopium mentality. It's that this is all a military operation. This same folks would say that Trump never left office in 2020, that he was still maintained his actual office, not of the corporation, but over the actual United States of America. And that there is this plan to completely destroy and take down the cabal. Some of these videos were done by another person that supposedly committed suicide, who she did the videos called The Fall of the Cabal, which I think were really well done and very fascinating. I can't remember her name right now.
She's
but
dead now?
She is.
She died?
That's what they tell us.
Is it true that Monkey Works died too?
I haven't heard that. Died? I have not heard that yet. That must be, is that pretty new?
Yeah, I think he died as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of people dying that we're just finding out about now.
Yeah. That one was the gal that did the videos. That's a really sad one. I mean, she's a deep soul, and I think that obviously she was not suicidal. But to come back around full circle, what do you make of that? The ongoing narrative, and if it ends up being true, I mean, great. If there's actual narrative, they call them the white hats, where they've been on this operation for years, and we just need to trust the plan and watch it take place because they're going to take down the cabal.
Well, I don't think we have to tell people what to believe or not believe. I think we just have to tell people to prepare for the worst.
Yeah.
And people could hope for the plan. If you want my personal opinion, what the plan could be, instead of hopium, it could be copium, because of the dramatic changes that have happened in the past 5 years alone, more. it's a coping mechanism. And some of the intel people in Europe have told me the same, that it can be a coping mechanism. But I mean, Neil, the bottom line is, if we have the Israeli Mossad, where everything gets filtered into that conjectory confinement over there at the Pentagon, who's to say that Mossad can infiltrate, or had infiltrated at one time, the QAnon people? I heard that Jared Kushner made the efforts of that long ago. So the thing is, we don't know what we don't know. But the only thing that can't be, just cloned or, refined or anything, it's called the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And that's what people should be rallying around, no matter who's in power, who's in office, what fad or fashion of the day is, with QAnon today, anonymous tomorrow. That's the bottom line. And I think that's what people should unite around. And to quote John Lennon, if you say you want a revolution, you can count me out in, actually, because that's what we're going into.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what gives me hope is, and we've talked about this too, again, because Trump he's made mention of this. He made mention of 1871. He's made mention of ending the Fed, basically. He's made mention of some of the things like even the 14th Amendment, which that's another huge rabbit hole to go down, and how most people see that as a way that blacks were made free, where I actually see that as a way that all of us were made slaves, dating back to 1871. And now we're seeing that fully manifest itself finally. But you have 1913 and 1933 and some important dates. But Trump, when I would call him good Trump, whatever good Trump is, he's made mention of ending federal income taxes. People have talked about ending property taxes. We've talked about, and not necessarily Trump, but others who are now in his administration, like RFK Jr., made talk of dismantling the CIA into 1,000 pieces and breaking it up. I know that he doesn't have power to do that now in his position, but I think there are people like Trump, like good Trump and administration, that have power to actually dismantle these systems that have been used to enslave us. My thinking is, if we don't see that happen, then it all was, maybe, I really like your point, maybe it wasn't just hopium, but maybe it was more copium, where we've got to have something to be able to hang on to kind of keep us sane. But if that doesn't happen, if we just see over the next few years some slight changes made, we don't see true accountability at the IRS and all those tens and tens of thousands of agents that were hired, that were given all the ammunition, that were going to come knocking on our doors and who knows what. Not seeing accountability for the FBI and the DOJ and the tyranny that they put people through. Not seeing the accountability for the J6ers and the lack of due process that people have been through, and for doors kicked in, and not seeing accountability for all the elderly that were placed in nursing homes and literally murdered during 2020 and 2021, and for people's kids that have died for giving them the jabs that we told would keep them safe. Like, if these systems aren't dismantled, like the CDC and the WHO and all the other three-letter agencies, ATF, I mean, all of these agencies, then to me, it's more of the same. It's just a different, another wing of the same bird. What do you think about that? Is there a way forward? The reason you got me thinking of this is, like, we have to go back to the real Constitution and what America was founded on. Right. And each individual has to take their power back. Otherwise, it's like these systems are just going to keep going. We're going to be like a hamster in a wheel, just keep spinning and spinning and spinning.
Well, true capitalism is free trade between free people. It was never intended to have a Federal Reserve or a centralized bank dictating the booms and the bust. So that's what it's really going to come back to, is the dismantling of the federal government. But I mean, I'm sorry to tell people, but Israel is a big factor in this. They control the financial system. They control the internet system, where just like China controls our ports and all the ports around the world, we just have to come to reality here. We have to be adults about this and stop getting past the Ben Shapiro peer pressure game and just knock him right in the nose, because the truth is, America, as we know it, is the whore of the world. We're being sold and being used for military might. We're being used for our ports. Our farmlands are being bought up. We have espionage up the yin yang since the early 90s. So we have to rediscover what the Commonwealth has to rediscover. The people in Canada, England, Australia, New Zealand, which is the Magna Carta, which our U.S. Constitution is based off of. Kids today in Canada don't know crap about the Magna Carta. You know what I mean? And same here. So we have to rediscover these things, as you said, and it just goes back to the lessons of our grandparents, of what they taught us, from the little things that we just took for granted. We have to rediscover who we are to get past this.
Yeah. Oh, couldn't agree more. As I want to take a slightly strange turn, because you, like, one of the things that you have, I think, been instrumental in helping people understand the bigger picture and connecting the dots with, is this case called JonBenet Ramsey. And I don't know how deep you want to go in today's show. We've got a few minutes to talk about it. But in my mind, all this stuff is connected. And you're really good at connecting the dots, with Mossad and the CIA and Israel and the incorporation that we call the United States and Epstein, and how all of these things seem to be interconnected and on this like never ending fall, this big snowball that's been falling down this mountain for so long that keeps getting bigger and bigger and seems like we can't stop it. But I'm still fascinated to go back to, because most people know when I say JonBenet, people know what we're talking about. Is any of this what we've been talking about today with Epstein and this whole ring of, disgusting pedos and rulers and all that, is it connected to that in some way? Or are there cases like hers that are happening all the time that the public just really isn't aware of, or we haven't connected the dots?
Well, yeah, I mean, Colorado Springs is one of the most satanic places I've ever stepped foot on, and it's always in the deep forest areas where these guys congregate. You know what? I made I made a film about JonBenet Ramsey, a great documentary, and it wasn't necessarily about the ins and outs of the case, but the environment that made that possible and the cover up possible. And what we learned about is the pay for play scheme, which all the hidden, dirty, black deep state money is always hidden in real estate. That's how they pay off people, pay off the cartels. But with JonBenet, you may recall, a lot of stuff has come out. I was the missing piece. I was the missing piece to, excuse me, as I'm falling apart. I was the missing piece to,
We
I'm
know.
just the missing piece that put together the kind of the satanic, angle of it, because that's what the father was a part of. And he's tried to silence me since. But where I'm getting at, if you recall, like the beauty pageant stuff, there's a lot of great people that did some research, Neil, and found out those certain pageants never even existed. It's like they filmed it underground for a pedo network catalog, if you recall those videos of her. And I stumbled into this. This is not something I was ever into or looked into. It was the Judge Long, who's departed. It was his confessions that were given to me, and I just put it out there. It reached 1 million or whatever initially, and it's been canceled, deleted, uploaded ever since. But I think that was the early stages of a network. And same with the girl from Poltergeist, the little blonde-haired actress from the 80s.
Yep.
Steven Spielberg did some things to her, allegedly. Isaac Cappy said that, who I spent time with before he died. And by the way, I've since called. The guy's not dead. He's still alive.
I was just going to ask you that. Like, are we sure he's dead?
No, he's not. I literally called him live on air.
Are you going to get in trouble for saying this?
Well, I don't care. I mean, what's he going to do to me?
Yeah.
He's playing dead. I'm not.
Yep. Why do you think, I know this is another, we're like going rabbit trail to rabbit trail, but why do you think let's say he faked his death? Mm-hmm. Was it for his own protection?
Well, I got to tell you, it felt that way because of Tom Hanks, who has a lot of pull. Mm-hmm. I mean, Tom Hanks right now, as soon as Trump got back in, that guy has been in Greece, which isn't. It's kind of interesting how a lot of Israelis right now are escaping to Cyprus and Greece because there's no extradition, and pedophilia laws don't really exist like they do in the United States. And I say that because if people know what was under the synagogue in New York from about 2 years ago, we haven't heard a follow up on that. They just covered up the tunnels underneath the synagogue with concrete. No follow up, nothing to see here. Not allowed to talk about it.
Yep.
But and I say that too because Anaheim, California is one of the biggest hotspots for kid trafficking in California because of Disneyland, the Chinese businessmen. So it's all around. But Isaac Cappy, I think, was in some hotspot. He was getting voice to skull activated on him. He was hearing things in Silver Lake, Los Angeles. Something happened to him when he went to Australia. But I called him and he's alive. And I'll tell you the weirdest thing is I was on that same route with him as him a year ago on my way to Texas through New Mexico on Route 66, and I broke down too, and it was terrifying.
I'll bet.
At the same place.
Yeah. And
in the middle of nowhere. So I know.
You made it out alive.
Yes. Well, you're assuming I'm the real me still. I'm not.
I'm assuming. Yeah, I'm assuming. I think I know you well enough. Let's go back to Colorado for a minute.
Okay. Yeah.
We've talked about this kind of off the record pretty extensively. I'm from Colorado. We sort of fled, not out of fear per se, but like seeing the writing on the wall. Once you get your door kicked in and you don't have anybody backing you, your sheriff, nobody in authority that will back you, you feel very vulnerable, and they expose your children, and they take all your stuff, which, by the way, they still have our stuff after almost 4 years. They won't answer our calls, even under the new administration, which is one of the reasons why I get pretty salty and pessimistic, is because we expected justice, something to say, hey, we're sorry about what the previous administration did. Here's your stuff back. You did no wrong. But that's just an aside. We still haven't experienced that at all. So we've been through a thing or two. So I think we have the right to be, calling these people out a little bit. But in Colorado, when I go back now, I would say, and I've talked to other people that feel this way too, you can almost feel the heaviness. You kind of feel a weight of, I don't know if it's a spiritual darkness or control or something there that's just off. But one of the biggest things that is a constant battle that we battled in Colorado, and they're still battling, is the sexualization of children and trying to teach 3-year-olds that they can change their sex and that they can, be turned on, and all the sick stuff that these people do. And that's where you have your 22-year-old, college graduate student with purple hair and highly overweight and doesn't know anything except, I want to go in and teach your preschoolers that, about sex and tell them what my sexual life is like. That's the kind of stronghold that we see and feel in Colorado. What say you about that? And what is there like some sort of history to this that the public needs to be aware of?
Yeah, it's ideological subversion, which really became into play, I want to say 1990. But if you really go back, this is what was happening in Germany in the 1920s and 30s by Jewish doctors in Germany. They were the first to perform the transvestite, tranny operations on children. I mean, imagine how you're disgusted now. Imagine back then when everything was Puritan, square peg society in the 1920s, 30s. So that really caused the book burning, if you recall. And these are things, by the way, we were never told about World War II. We had to find out right, in the past couple of years now. It's not delightful. It's not fun to find these things out because this is happening now. And this is what's happening to a lot of the 300,000 missing migrant children. They're being tunneled into underground military bases, all in places like Tucson, Arizona. They're all put in tents, and then they're killed, and they do what they do with them, and they use their body parts for all the new people that want to be men or women, whatever the case is. And I guess we should ask Macron's wife how that procedure goes, although that never happened. But you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Oh,
This is what's going on here. Yeah. And it's ideological subversion. Chinese are just sitting back watching us destroy ourselves, although they infiltrated the educational systems 30 years ago. And I'm sure Richard Nixon's ping pong diplomacy just worked out great for him and all of us, but because it didn't.
So the breakdown of the family historically has basically been the defining moment that a nation is going to implode and it can't go on anymore. It makes me wonder how much longer we have to sort through this mess as a society and to come back. Now, some people believe, and Trump's mentioned, that we're entering a golden age. And again, like you said, maybe it's copium, maybe it's hopium, maybe it's the truth. And if it is, I'm on board with it. But he's ushering us into this golden age, and we're all supposed to just kind of follow and go, yep, here we go into the golden age. So far, I'm a little skeptical of it. And one of the main reasons is these systems and structures that have broken up the family, like you're talking about, are still running in full force. Like I'll mention Colorado again. We have the only, or the first, I guess, openly homosexual governor who groomed his husband at a very young age to, be what they are today. That, believe whatever you want about that or feel however you want about it. This governor, who is the head of the Association of Governors in the U.S., is leading a force to make sure that, in my estimation, there is no family in the United States. And that's what's happening. I see this, like, this trajectory we're on, Dean, and I don't see how we get out of it and come back. Even if we are going into some sort of economic golden age, which I don't think we've seen too many signs of that yet either, to kind of see what these tariffs are supposed to do or however we're going to do this. I don't see signs of us taking this back unless, like, we have some major, almost catastrophic events and go back to, kind of biblical events happening that knock sense back into people. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's going to take a solar flare to knock it out. Trump is inflating the financial markets to crash the Federal Reserve, which is the Zionist-controlled bank. The Windsors, you name it, all of them. There's now reports that the crown has been given to Prince William. That's quite significant since, the real Charles is dead.
Yeah.
So is Camilla. And Kate Middleton, too. And Charles, they'll say he had cancer. He'll be dead soon. You'll see. So they're going to inflate the market, hyperinflate the market, crash the market, and then you're going to see the introduction of the crypto, everything. Now, the question is it going to be the patriotic crypto, or is it going to be the CBDC crypto, which is part of the Federal Reserve? That's the fight right now. They're trying to sneak in all these bills. Mike Johnson, who is as compromised as anyone on an Epstein list. Look at Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. First day in office, he funds Ukraine and Israel. And by the way, this is a guy who was 26 years old and adopts a 14-year-old boy from Dominican Republica. Tell me where that's normal. And he's proud of it, too, from an agency that is known for trafficking. That's who the Speaker of the House is, a guy with a porn name, Mike Johnson. What a disgrace.
And it's
which
odd
plays
to
into
me,
what you're saying.
Well, it does. And it's odd to me that Trump is so buddy with these guys, not to mention Lindsey Graham, who, I can't even hardly look at the guy. Do we? How do you look at him and go, now that's a great guy that I trust to, help run this country? I don't understand the play that's going on here. If it is 5D chess, what does it help Trump? Is it like keep your enemies close? Is that what's happening until you just finally bring them down? I don't understand it. I don't understand the other side's viewpoints. I guess there's hours and hours of, podcasters you could listen to that can try to piece together, how this is all if you've heard of devolution, that theory,
devolution.
Devolution.
Yeah, devolution.
I
see the devolution, Neil, in the institutions and all that, and merely for the fact that we just can't pay for them. You look at the professors in Chicago at these colleges, which are CIA breeding grounds and all kinds of stuff of communism. These people they retire at like $90,000 a year for life in Chicago. Chicago is one of the brokest places, which has one of the floods right now, by the way. You can thank the 5G towers for. But that's an example. It's unsustainable. It's unsustainable at all. And it's sad because there's people that need food cards out there, the food stamps or whatever you want to call it, they're going to be hit first because all these migrants have come in and they're going to use that, and here's what worries me about the black bagging of migrants is who's to say that you're not going to be a dissident one day, Neil, and you might be black bagged and sent out of the country because you criticize Israel. They have that authorization in the National Defense Authorization that Obama signed, which they can do propaganda on a federal level. And then who knows all these executive orders that were signed? Thousands of them. We don't even know. We only know the ones that are on that Fox News puts on the ticker on the bottom. I mean, that's it.
Yep. And that brings up another point that is there going to be accountability for all the e-signing or docu-signing that Biden did, and who was involved in that highly unlawful process of signing something for the president of the United States, so-called at least. And that's where I'm at. We need to start seeing accountability and stop kicking the can down the road and making excuses for the president. And I'll be the first one to come out and say, hey, I was wrong. There was a plan. I was too pessimistic, and sorry, I didn't see it. I didn't go down the rabbit hole deep enough, and I was wrong. I hope, I mean, as much as the next person, that there's an actual plan to get us out of this mess. I'm just right now, I know what I see, and that's what I have to base my judgment on. And I think it's our job as citizens, as people, as we the people, to hold our elected officials accountable to why we hired them to be in office, even all the way up to, the current so-called king of the world, DJT himself. We need to hold him accountable because from our perspective, he's still under this system of we the people. He's still employed by us, and we need to make sure that he does what we put him in office to do. Whether there's one or multiple of him, or whether there's some other plan that we don't all know about, it does matter. But what really matters is us taking our power back and saying, you better do what we've asked you to do. But then what's the way out? If we can't, if Trump won't do it, I mean, who can we get in there that will? It's not going to be the likes of Ted Cruz or some other uprising star of the conservative party. Like, I don't see it unless we just take the bull by the horns and say we've had enough and we're taking our country back. So
look, people are going to hate Neil and myself just for bringing up these issues. Trump comes back in office. He didn't put his hand on the Bible, if you recall. And I'm not a big religious guy, but that's somewhat of a tradition in the United States. He walks around with two rabbis all the time, like, they're his teachers. He's got Ben Shapiro, Laura Loomer, who's a Mossad wannabe asset. Neil, I don't really see any hope until Israel is contained, which is unlikely, and Netanyahu goes to jail for war crimes and genocide, or it's a country that's going to be called Palestine soon, because a lot of, Tel Aviv, the big secret has been obliterated by Iran. They're blocking all transmissions of sending out pictures of Tel Aviv, 2/3 of it, no more. If you're a journalist, you're not even allowed to go in Gaza. They're hiding the war crimes. He has no incentive to stop war. This is a rogue nation that's controlling the United States. And it's about time people speak up about it and stop following people like these sellout whorebag pastors out there like Greg Locke that tell you, sound like Yosemite Sam, you better just get to the Wailing Wall and start doing all. I mean, people need to wake up, and the men of this country need to start protecting the women of this country from this elite satanic pedo in plain sight in suits, yarmulkes, or ties, or pastor's Bible, don't matter. They're right in front of us. And there is going to be a revolution in this country. And I'm telling you, it's not coming. It's already started. The stage is set.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't have said it better myself. And I will, kind of let folks know, if you want a better understanding of this from my perspective and from what Dean is saying, there's a great book. These are short reads. This one's called Wimps and Subversives in Congress Flirt with a One World Government by Benjamin Friedman. Look up his works. There's a couple of short books you can get of his that you can still get before they're burned. And also, like I mentioned earlier, Jack Bernstein. And these were written by Jews who were, deep in the system. Benjamin Friedman was in numerous administrations in, U.S. and with U.S. presidents and things like that. He knew them personally. He knew what was going on. He knows about World War II and what started it. And he knows a lot about Israel. And these are coming out of the mouths of Jews. So I can't sit here and say, man, Dean, you sound like an anti-Semite, like these pastors are saying about. What's funny and noticeable, very notable about the pastors who are coming out and calling Candace Owens, and I keep mentioning her because I think she's very courageous and I want to encourage her to stay on this path. But they're saying she's an anti-Semite, and they don't give one example. They're not even following the biblical example of if you're going to call someone out or call them, one of these names that we've grown accustomed to. You can't even give an example. She's an anti-Semite. And I said last week to someone, well, what if I came out and just said, you know what, Greg Locke, he's a pedophile. He's a pedophile. You know why he's a pedophile? Because I said he is. I don't have to give any example. I don't have to tell anybody why. He just is. I'm not saying that he could be, but I'm just saying that as an example. That's what these people sound like when they start using the word anti-Semite. Don't give one example about it. Just say it.
Well, hey, you know what? In words of, when Greg Lott's getting paid $5,000 in Bitcoin to call people out, he'll do it. That shows you the dirty little whore he is. I mean, this is a guy who shot up his own house, pretending that the LGBTQ mob's after him, and he just so happened to be duck and cover, Johnny on the spot. I mean, come on. Didn't we graduate from the Jimmy Swagger years? Don't we know how this goes?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, everybody. This is just a clown show with a guy holding a Bible that's probably just, his scheduling calendar at this point.
Yeah.
But it's a generational thing too, Neil,
We can't even get into this now. We have to wrap it up. But I really wanted your take on why Greg and Alex Jones are buddy now. It's so strange to me.
Well, first of all, Neil, I don't want to go. I'm not going anywhere. We got 2 more hours together.
We need it. Trust me.
I don't want to leave you ever again. What happened? I don't know. It was hard to watch Alex grovel, and I think he's so battered with the Sandy Hook thing. He's so afraid of any kind of defamation, and I just can't watch him anymore. I think the other guy with the Abraham Lincoln beard, what's his name? Owen. He did a better interview with
Benjamin Owen.
No, Owen Schroyer.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he did a better interview with Greg Locke. Who, when Greg Locke and people like that are off script, man, they are not very bright.
Yep, agreed. Yep, crazy. Well, listen, I really appreciate you being here, Dean. This has been enlightening. I got to go, I guess, take some medications or something after this. I don't take any meds, but I feel like I need them after our talk today. But appreciate you being here.
Penicillin?
Yes, something, man. Something to detox. But we'll have you on again in the very near future. And between now and then, everybody, just remember to keep your eye single and your whole body will be full of light. And we'll see you all next time.